Katabasis. Katabasis.
Katabasis.
Katabasis.
I just finished reading Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. It's a really good book, and it's better than I thought it was going to be. And I had a lot of concerns before I started reading it because it's 530. It's definitely over 500 pages long, and it's a lot for me. I mean, it's quite a bit for me to read, but I did it, so good on me. And I think that's a little bit of a testament to how good the book actually is because I was able to finish it and get through 500 pages of it. Here's a brief description of it from Wikipedia. Katabasis is a 2025 fantasy novel by American writer R.F. Kuang. The novel follows two magicians, doctoral candidates, who must venture into hell to save their thesis advisor in order to get letters of recommendation. I mean, this is pretty consistent with what I thought the book was about when I started reading it. I came across it at Barnes & Noble. Is it Barnes & Noble or Nobles? Barnes & Noble. I tend to like stories that involve some sort of descent or journey into the underworld. The most popular one is probably Homer's The Odyssey, which is about to be a new movie by Christopher Nolan that I'm really excited about. Other examples are like Constantine, which I think was a DC comic. Sandman, which may have also been a DC comic. I guess I can fact check all of this pretty easily. And then, of course, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Despite finishing it in all 500 plus pages, there was something about it that just kind of nagged me and kind of bothered me for about 350, maybe even as many as 400 pages. And it was what I thought was the way that the author was representing Stoicism. Or more accurately, I thought she was misrepresenting Stoicism or Stoic philosophy. To be fair and clear, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not even a scholar of philosophy. You know, I've never been confused for Ryan Holiday, and I never will be, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know everything about it. But I did feel like, I understood that it wasn't about, intentionally harming or hurting other people. And I knew about the cardinal virtues of it, courage, self-discipline, justice, wisdom, sort of this be good, do good. You can't control everything. You can only control how you respond to things kind of a deal. And I'm being quick. I'm not trying to be dismissive of it. I'm just trying to get through it kind of quickly to kind of illustrate some of these thoughts that were in my head and what I believe Stoic philosophy to be about and why so many people kind of gravitate towards it. And I just thought that in the book, Katabasis, it just wasn't being represented correctly. And I thought it was really bizarre because it wasn't the only philosophy mentioned in the book. Like the author took great care to mention Socrates, Aristotle, Heraclitus, you never step in the same river twice, and all of these things. Again, I'm not a scholar, but all of these things that I felt like were being represented correctly. Also, I understand this is a fiction work, so it didn't have to be exactly what Stoicism was, but everything else seemed right to me. And this book was grounded in our reality. It just had like these, obviously a different reality because magic and all of these things were real, but there was a Cambridge and the United States, and I think one of the characters was from Montana or Texas, I can't remember, but there were elements of real world things in the book. And I was like, well, that's so weird. Why represent every philosophy as it is in our reality, but not Stoic philosophy? And then I thought, what if the author just doesn't understand what Stoicism is and she's just wrong about it? Like all of these thoughts I had going through my brain that seemed possible and bothered me for, like I said, the majority of the book. Quick side note here, and spoiler alert, this is where I think this gets pretty interesting. Before I retired, I spent a lot of time working with people on AI and talking about AI. I didn't build it, I didn't train models, but I trained people and I tried to get them to change the way they thought about work, to adopt AI and integrate it into their workflows and things like that. And one of the topics I often had to address was, is there a right or wrong way to do something? Specifically like a use case, right? Here's my use case. Should I do it this way or should I do it that way with AI? A lot of people don't like staring at a blank canvas and a blinking cursor. They find it intimidating. So is it okay for me to just give AI a prompt and have it write 5 pages for me and then I go back and kind of rewrite where it's necessary? Or should I write 5 pages on my own and then go back and use AI to polish and finesse and wordsmith? And my response to that was always, it depends on what's best for you. You should be tailoring your use of AI to best fit your work patterns and your requirements and what's going to provide you with the best path towards efficiency and productivity and all that stuff, right? Never would I dare to say there was a right or a wrong way. The exception was, look, if you're not checking what AI is telling you, you're doing it wrong. In my mind, though, I guess somewhat secretly, I did have a preference, and it was write your own stuff. Just write your own stuff. Get all of your thoughts and everything down, fill up as many of them as you can, and then use AI to help you organize them and polish them, kind of massage the content as necessary. Part of that was I like to write, but another part of it was I felt like thinking was going to be more important than ever, critical thinking in this age of AI. And if you just let AI write it for you, it was just going to further erode our collective ability to apply critical thought and all these things. What I wanted to tell people was don't let that happen to you. Keep your wits about you, stay sharp, write your own stuff and use AI to sort of complement it and maybe even supplement here and there. But I always felt good thinking that, look, it's never going to happen to me because I write my own stuff, right? I'm always going to preserve my ability to apply critical thought because I write my own stuff. And therefore, I was going to keep and maintain my ability to think. So fast forward to Katabasis and my gripes and complaints about how the author was misrepresenting Stoic philosophy. I started looking into it, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm done with the book. I'm going to go look into this. Surely I can't be the only person that felt like this author just missed the mark, was wildly inaccurate on Stoicism. And again, it's because it was represented as a means to intentionally harm people in this book. So to my surprise, I wasn't finding a lot of content for people like me who felt like the author was wrong. What I started to realize was that wasn't her point. You know, she never meant for an idiot like me to read the book and think she was wrong about it. What I was supposed to figure out on my own, because of my critical thinking, was that she was simply saying that people of influence and in power could abuse Stoicism in a way, kind of weaponizing it and say, look, if what I said hurt you or offended you, that's not my problem. That's your problem because of how you're reacting to it. And it's not very Stoic of you. So they just kind of took it as a sort of like this get out of jail free card or this blank check, if you will, to just say and act however they want. Because look, you control how you react to it. That was her point. Not that she doesn't understand Stoicism. So then it started creeping into my brain. And like, look, dude, you were wrong. And you couldn't figure it out, and everybody else could. And the best part was it didn't fully crystallize for me until I asked AI about it. The very thing I was worried about becoming too much of a crutch for my thinking and my ability to apply critical thought took great relish, I'm sure, in pointing out to me like, hey dude, you're wrong. The book is okay. You're the one who doesn't get it. For 400 pages, you didn't get it. So once I got over kind of how devastating that was and damaging to my ego, I kind of started laughing about it because the irony is pretty good, right? Like, I'm not going to use AI this way because I'm going to keep my ability to apply critical thought, not realizing that I'm losing my ability to apply critical thought, and it's going to take AI to point that out to me. Retirement has been fun so far, figuring these things out. More than likely, in fact, I am pretty positive at this point, the author does understand Stoic philosophy way better than I do. In fact, as I was looking it up, I found out that she has a degree in philosophy. So, you dummy, of course she understands it. And she was just, world building and developing characters and providing context, like all these things that are part of a good story and a good narrative. And I just didn't pick up on it. And for 400 pages, I locked in on something. Now that I know, those 400 pages are a little bit different for me. And I feel like the book was even better. I guess my big takeaway is that sometimes you're wrong. It's okay. When I was working, I probably wouldn't have 100% bought into this idea that it's okay to be wrong. In fact, I would have done a lot to make sure I wasn't wrong. Try to remind myself daily that it is okay to be wrong sometimes. Keep an open mind, especially when I'm chatting with my daughter and discussing stuff with her. I'm not always going to know the answer. It's okay if I'm incorrect, or even better for me to just say I don't know. And sometimes I'm going to be mistaken. Just keep an open mind and put in the effort and look stuff up. It's natural to be wrong sometimes. And sometimes it takes something very artificial to point out how natural that is.